We are awaiting a verdict in the defamation trial against former Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani. A judge has already found that Giuliani was liable for defamation in this case. And this four-day trial was really to determine exactly how much he's going to owe in damages to two Georgia election workers, a mother and daughter, Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss. Both say his lies about the 2020 election led to death threats, upended their lives, emotional distress. Closing arguments in the case wrapped yesterday with the 8-person jury, then starting deliberations around 1:30, and they continue right now. Our Ava Joy Burnett is there in the courtroom. So joining me now to talk this through on the trial, the defense, the money, criminal defense attorney Chandelle Summer. Chandelle, good to have you here. So the jury heard from the election workers, at points incredibly emotional, and then Giuliani suddenly said, "I'm not testifying." And this is a quote from him: "Always leave them guessing." You're a criminal defense attorney. Did this help him?
Probably not. Although sometimes your client can be your worst witness, so sometimes it's a good idea to be careful about putting them on the stand. Giuliani has already been found responsible for the defamation, so it's all about the damages. You don't want to put him on the stand and have him subject to cross-examination and in some way become unlikable, and then have the jury punish him because of things he might have said on the stand that they don't believe, and that type of thing.
I see. Okay. Now, the mother and daughter are requesting, I think, $24 million each for reputational damages. They were unknown before this, which is kind of, you know, a character in and of itself, their anonymity and then thrust into the spotlight and demonized. But it's also unlikely that they would have ever earned $24 million in their lifetimes. I think the average American earns $1.7 million. Where did $24 million come from?
This is a send a message verdict. This is, let's tell the world that when you go into the Georgia legislature and you start saying things about people committing criminal acts, which then cause them to be threatened and harassed and bombarded with text messages and emails about things that are false, that harm their reputation, there's going to be punishment. And it's going to be punishment of a monetary value, which is extraordinary. That's how we value damage in the United States, by money verdicts.
Does it have to be commensurate, though, with your loss, like the reputational and, let's say, employment loss? Does it have to be commensurate with that?
Yes, but that is pretty much a blank check. Who knows how much it's worth? They'll go through the rest of their lives, according to their attorney, having to deal with this issue, having people not like them because they were the subject of Giuliani's comments. They've been targeted. So that's worth a lot of money. They're also suing for punitive damages, which allows them to get damages in excess of any compensatory damages. They're also suing for the emotional impact that this case had on them under an intentional infliction of emotional distress claim.
I was going to ask you about that. And, I mean, to hear the daughter speak, I mean, everyone remembers that from when she spoke to Congress, just saying, I couldn't get out of bed. I gained all this weight. I went for a job interview, and they turned the phone around and said, is this you? And, you know, suddenly I don't get this job. So, like you said, Moss and Freeman, they want the compensatory emotional and punitive damages. They are both black women. The jury is from Washington, D.C. I looked it up. Politico has the jury breakdown. It's 2 white men, 3 white women, 2 black women, and a black man. This, my understanding is, has to be unanimous with whatever they're awarded. Are they likely to see, you know, their full ask? Is the jury likely to all come behind them?
I think that their full ask is unlikely. I think that Giuliani's attorney made a strategic decision to say, look, we know you're going to give them something, but keep it reasonable. This is not a Hollywood verdict. This is not a send a message verdict. They need to be compensated, but let's don't go crazy. So do I think they'll get the entire $48 million combined verdict that they're asking for? Not really, but I think it'll be very high. $5 million seems to be the new verdict number for any of these trials where somebody is a high-profile person who's being sued for things.
You talk about high profile. Rudy Giuliani, when you started your career, he was probably flying high, Chandelle. He was this prolific, highly skilled, highly feared U.S. attorney in New York. Then he's the mayor. What happened?
Well, thank you for reminding me how old I am and how long I've been in the business.
I didn't mean it like that.
That's okay. But I do think you're right. He's had a tragic fall from grace. He was America's mayor. He was the attorney general who prosecuted the mob, took on the mob. And then I think he's sort of an Icarus type character. He flew too close to the sun. He got involved with Donald Trump and got into this sort of Machiavellian mindset that it was okay to do whatever as long as you win, as long as you reach the goal. And it caught up with him. He's got 4 lawsuits pending right now. This is just one of them. He's being sued by Dominion Voting Systems for the same thing. He's being sued by a former attorney. He's being sued by a former employer. So he's got big trouble.
I see. Do you think we get this verdict today real quick?
There's a saying in the law, if you have a jury out on Friday, you're going to get a verdict on Friday. But this is a high-profile case, and like you said, the likelihood of a hung jury, a jury that can't reach a unanimous verdict, is likely.
Okay, thank you. You got us smarter and rounded this out. Novice, fresh out of law school lawyer here with us, Chandelle Summer. Thank you. I just say that. Don't take that the wrong way earlier. I heard you talking about your seasoned career, so that's why I say that. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm proud of it.